Hello. Today I thought I'd have a look at whether we should or even could go completely off-grid. And I think the really simple answer is no, and probably not for us. And I'll tell you why. Because while a part of me in my head, a great part of me in my head would like to be completely off-grid, for a whole number of reasons, and most of them environmental and financial. We probably don't have the physical strength to do a lot of the tasks that would be needed to be done on an ongoing basis for us to live off-grid. While I do have the time to do most of the tasks, I certainly don't have the physical strength, and there are bills that need to be paid, and without another source of income we wouldn't be able to pay them. So Mr J has to work off-site for at least part of the week, and I think it's quite important that he has downtime to do the stuff he wants to do, which leaves us with very little time to do all the stuff we would need to do to be off-grid. And we probably don't have the resources here that we would need. So we don't have any woodland, we don't have a huge number of mature trees that we could chop down, and once they were gone, that would be that. Then it would take certainly more years that Mr J and I have left to get back to the size that the trees are now. So we would be needing to buy in wood. We don't have a water source on site. There is no running water here. We could possibly dig down for a well. We don't have the money to do that, and then we don't have the strength to do it ourselves. In terms of using solar for energy, we live in Britain, and where we are certainly it's great because the house faces south and west, so we do get a large amount of light, but there is an awful lot of the year where we would be only generating a bare minimum, and we don't have any power storage facilities, so we don't have a bank of batteries, and again our resources don't stretch to getting storage batteries of a decent size that would allow us to save power on the premises to be able to use at a later moment. Now, if we had the money to do a retrofit of all sorts of systems, we would do that in a blink. I'm still not sure that would take us completely off-grid. But what do we have here? Well, we're quite a long way down the road to being self-efficient in terms of our resources here, except for wood. So what we do have is we have 2 water heating solar panel-y things at the back of the house, and what they do is they warm the water. They do warm it up, which means that when it comes to heating the water, it's not going from really cold to hot, it's going from warm to hot, and so it's using less power. We have photovoltaic panels on the front of the house, so they are getting the full blast of the south and the west sun. And our photovoltaic panels, we own those rather than leasing them, which means that any electricity generated we can sell back to the national grid. We generate an income for generating electricity, and as bonkers as though that seems, I think it was part of a scheme to encourage people to get alternative forms of energy and a greener environment. So we have a small income from generating electricity, which pays for our central heating oil. We really don't want to be on oil. We don't want to be using those fossil fuels for our energy, but it is what was here when we moved in, until we can find a pillowcase stuff full of money somewhere we will have to carry on doing that, because what we'd really like to do, really like to do is have an air source heat pump. That would be our ideal. In fact, that would make us both very happy, but we can't afford it. We have wood burners. We've got a wood burner in. Well, it's a multi-fuel burner, but we don't buy coal, so we use it for wood. So there's a wood burner in our living room, and there's a wood burner in the kitchen and snug. Now, it's not that there's 3, there are 2, but the one in the kitchen here is double-sided, and so it heats both the kitchen and the snug that's next to the kitchen. But it does mean that we have to buy in our wood, and and I'm also using the pieces of pallet that we've got from that enormous pile of pallets for the pieces that I'm not stripping off to reuse. Those are getting chopped up and used on the wood burners. So mostly we heat the house using the wood burners, and then if it gets really cold we stick the heating on and use that oil-fired central heating as a top-up. But it is our second choice. So our water is mains water, and I'm okay with that actually. As I talked about the potential of having a well, but yeah, mains water is fine. But we do process all our sewage and wastewater on site. So we have a septic tank which pumps all the liquid, so all the wastewater and our own wastewater. Everything from flushing the loo, the showers, the baths and everything all goes into the septic tank, and all that water then gets pumped to a reed bed system where the water is slowly filtered by our reed beds, and then goes into a resting pool, and then it soaks away into the land naturally. We collect rainwater off the roofs. Probably not nearly as much as we could. We have a 1,000 litre container, an IBS container, just outside the kitchen there, and that water I then use for washing the chickens' food and water containers in. I use it for watering plants in the greenhouse, and there's another water pot in the covered walkway where the chickens are, and that water is used for the chickens. And I'm going to find a way of collecting rainwater and saving in large containers that will sit within those compost bays that go all around the annual vegetable garden. And then I can use rainwater to be watering those plants, because actually that's so much better than using tap water. And then our rubbish, all our household waste is, well, an awful lot of it is recycled. So all the kitchen waste goes onto the compost heap. Here in the UK we can't give any kitchen waste to our poultry, so it has to go into a compost bin, and we're not allowed to let the chickens rummage through those compost bins, so we have separate compost bins that the chickens can go through. But anyway, all of our raw kitchen waste goes back to the compost bin. All our cooked kitchen waste goes into a bag, into a box, and that is collected weekly by the council, who then use that to make biofuel. I really like that idea. I think that's great. So in terms of doing our bit, in terms of behaving responsibly, in terms of doing our best for the environment that we can do, I think we are pretty much there. Of course there's always more we can do, of course there is, but where we are at the moment I'm feeling pretty good about. In terms of going off grid, I don't think we can. And I don't know that we need to. I feel like we're doing all right. So there we go, quick look at whether we could go off grid, whether we should go off grid, and how that would work for us, and a quick look at what it is that we do here now in terms of careful use of our resources. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you're up to today, I hope it's a good one for you, and I also hope you can join me again tomorrow.